it's my great pleasure and honor to invite along the next group of speakers, who two of whom are close business partners and associates, and one new acquaintance who we're very pleased to make recently. So I would ask the panelists to probably introduce themselves, because I can't do them justice. But joining us, we have Keiretsu, who is a serial venture capitalist and entrepreneur from operating 3 venture funds across China, US, and Australia. Karim Nurani joining us from Silicon Valley, who is a Chief Strategy Officer of LinkTree, a fascinating platform which I'll ask him to talk a bit more about, and also a serial angel investor, I believe the founder of Sandalwood Angels, and Matt Long, from Head of Distribution at OSL, joining us from Hong Kong, and a seasoned banking and finance executive from Australia and globally. So welcome. Can you all hear me okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
All good, mate.
Okay, very good.
Yes.
Great to have you with us today. And I think before we probably kick things off, we can just have ask you to each give us a quick 30 seconds background of yourself. Starting with you, Kurt.
Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure being here. My name is Kurt. I'm a more kind of a traditional venture capitalist. We have been managing a number of funds in China, US, and Australia. We have been investing in the market such as China, Australia, Israel, and the US mainly. Our focus is more, number one, we call it technology-driven business startups. And the second, which we think is more interesting, we say it's more like lifestyle-driven startups, which usually have a lifestyle element for the startup, and with a good story for the branding of the startups. Thank you.
Thanks, Kurt. We'll move on to you, Karim.
Thank you, Victor. It's such a pleasure to be here. We're in San Francisco right now. It's getting dark, almost cocktail hour. We're waiting for Thanksgiving tomorrow, so this is going to be a good start to the weekend. Pleasure to see you, Kurt. Thank you so much for your input in our September Global Investor Conference. Matt, it's a pleasure to meet you here today. Looking forward to learning from you. You're all rock stars. Victor, such a pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me. A little bit about who LinkTree is. I'm a very early stage investor in companies such as this, and we've created a platform. It's an equities trading platform. So it's quite with fascination that we heard Zen Super today and Vinex. In fact, one of my early stage investments in the US is American Craft Brands. That's also building a platform to deal with alcohol and beverages, transportation and distribution in the US. What we do here at LinkTree is identify pre-IPO companies or companies that are making excellent progress in their business model. We then take it onto our platform and allow our investors to buy equity in the company. By next year, hopefully by the second half of next year, we'll have built a technology that will allow you for secondary trading on the platform. So if you're an early stage investor in a company and have seen remarkable growth and you would like to trade out of it into something else, LinkTree will probably be there for you at that time. Currently we've looked at companies such as Robinhood, Coinbase, Ripple. We've got SoFi, Marqeta, Kraken. So I wanted to really enjoy this environment today because we're paying attention to the markets that we're going to be talking about. Thank you.
Thanks, Karim. And Matt, please give us a quick overview of yourself and your business?
Sure, thanks, Victor. Great to connect with you all. So as outlined, my name is Matt Long. I'm the head of distribution and prime brokerage at OSL. My background really comes out of traditional trading banks, sort of Bankers Trust, Macquarie, ANZ, more recently Saxo Bank, which is a Danish digital bank, and then I've been with OSL now since last year. We are a digital asset platform, one of the largest globally, with a couple of different business lines. We have a prime brokerage business for digital assets, an institutional exchange. We also are one of the few globally that runs custody with a full range of hot and cold wallet insurance. And finally, we've got a SaaS business where we take the tech stack and the processes of those other business lines, and then work with third-party wealth managers, regulated exchanges, and banks to help them build out digital asset trading and custody services for clients. We are very focused on providing a business which is built to, I guess, to deal with the institutional end of the digital asset market. We're listed on the Hong Kong Exchange, stock code 863. We're regulated, or we hope to soon be regulated by both the SFC and the MAS in Singapore. So we're very focused on regulation. We're audited by a Big Four name, one of the only digital asset firms globally to be so. Yeah, let me stop there. I think that's probably enough for an intro.
Great, thanks a lot for sharing that, Matt. And for those that are not familiar, I just want to share with the audience as well that I wear multiple hats, and one of which is also as a founding managing partner of Sapien Ventures. We are a venture capital firm with a particular focus on fintech, blockchain, online marketplaces, and AI enterprise software. And we have presence in Silicon Valley, Sydney, Melbourne, and Shanghai. We have been a relatively early investor in the blockchain space, at least here in Australia. So with that, I'd like to now move on to the main topic of today's session, which is trends and market opportunities for 2021. So if we can start with you, Matt, first this time. What do you see as some of the biggest trends emerging in the digital asset space for 2021?
Look, I think anyone that's anywhere near digital assets will recognise that 2020 has been the year realistically that institutional money is publicly out of the gates and onto the track with respect to digital assets. I think 2021 moves that forward and accelerates that entire process. So, I think we are going to see a number of global, regional, household named financial institutions formally move into the digital asset space with the provision of trading platforms and custody services. I think we're going to start to see next year as well a more rapid uptick of the security tokens business, sort of within the digital asset ecosystem. I think that the tokenization business is going to begin accelerating next year. And probably the bigger meta theme here is, I think we are going to continue to see clarity with respect to the regulatory environment on a global context. We within the firm talk about a changing of the guard within digital assets, and from what has been over the last few years, much of the investment, much of the volume within the unregulated parts of the market that is very quickly going to evolve into consistent global regulation across a number of mechanisms to help foster the continued asset allocation into digital assets as an investment class.
I strongly resonate with many of those points. Karim, your thoughts on big trends for 2021? Oh, you're on mute.
So interestingly enough, we've been having various conversations on this here in the US with various companies. And it's, everyone knows the downside of the 2020 pandemic, but there is, the silver screen or silver cloud in this silver lining in this cloud, whereby everything's becoming digitized. And the speed at which this is happening is just incredible because of the confluence of what happened. I mean, the whole world shut down at the very same time. If it had been different countries at different occasions, the adoption would have not been that great. But in this case, everything shut down, everyone needs to do something different. So when we were starting to look, I mean, the various, I think I agree with Matt in terms of, okay, there has to be a global acceptance of standardization and legal through the central banks, perhaps, or the governments themselves on an agreement of security and trust, because if that doesn't happen, then this becomes challenging in all the ICOs or tokenization or any assets. This will have to be rectified. The question really becomes, if you look at the various geographies, you look at the US, you look at the European Union, and you look at the Asia market, will they come to terms at a time when the confluence of that agreement accelerates the acceptance of digital currencies? And then you look at the opportunities, and we look at the companies that presented today of Zen Super and various other companies we're looking at, and you look at digital assets. But then you look at, furthermore, you look at digital assets management, where the real challenge is understanding the trust, the security of these aspects, and what companies are doing a better job with cold storage, warm storage, and the trust factor. Because I mean, we all know what happened in 2017, 2018 with the ICOs. So it really becomes, and now, okay, of course, now with the change of our president, hopefully, things will level out, the political environment will level out.
There's hoping.
Antagonism will take a step back, and hopefully, people will start talking to each other. So I hope to see the progress. I mean, 2020 is the catalyst for that. 2021 is the year where we'll see whether progress is really made or not. And if it's not made, I think things will slow down again tremendously.
And do you think for LinkTree specifically, 2021 will see much of a continuation of some of the things that you guys hit a lot of traction with, for example, the Ripple series of deals? Do you want to talk about to that?
Yes, so let's talk about that a little bit. So LinkTree has identified a very a market segment that's not been addressed. So if you try to buy pre-IPO stock, if you try to buy Airbnb, if you try to buy Coinbase or Robinhood, early on this year, it was very, very difficult unless you had $5–10 million in a bank, and Matt knows this, unless you're an institutional investor, very difficult for the general accredited investor to get any access to these companies. We found a little niche in the market where we are able to, and it takes a lot of work, it's not easy in terms of manpower as well as technology, to identify sellers of this security that we can bring on our platform, and then accredited investors can buy chunks of it. So it's been very good for us so far. This year's been, we just started doing this early this year. We've seen tremendous success. The challenge really becomes is identifying the right companies at the right price, which are pre-IPO, pre-liquidity, and getting some allocation for that prior to a liquidity event. If we go down, and these companies generally are worth between evaluation between $4 and $10 billion. So that's what we're buying. If we go downstream a little bit to a company that's valued at $1 to $2 or $1 to $3 billion, obviously the liquidity event is a longer term, but we're hoping that the trading platform that we build will be able to facilitate in and out of particular equities at the right time. So we're bullish about what we do, and we have customers from across the world who meet their own accredited investor status. They don't have to meet the US status. They have to meet wherever they're resident of to purchase these equities on the platform. So I think we found a niche right now, and we're going to exploit it as much as we can moving forward.
Thanks for that, Karim. Kurt, so from your perspective, investing cross-border for many years, for a couple of decades, if I'm correct, and you're a pretty early investor in the blockchain crypto space as well, right? So from your perspective, looking at from both a Chinese, US, and Australian angle, what do you see as some of the biggest trends of 2021 in the digital asset space? Oh, and you're on mute.
Oh, thank you, Victor. So obviously, this world is pretty also a new venture world for myself. I have been ever learning. As I consider myself, as I mentioned again, a more traditional venture capitalist. I just want to mention a number of the things I have been observing. Number one, I believe that this fintech and digital assets will be more and more everywhere, everything, every sector. It's similar because I've been experienced the fast development of internet industry. I always try to compare the internet and blockchain. So now we have internet of things, internet of everything. I believe there will be fintech of everything, digital assets of everything sooner and sooner. This is number one. Number two, we also see more and more convergence of the real digital assets. What we said is more digital assets, or the digital assets reflect the ownership more about the underlying assets, for instance. So there'll be more and more unclear boundaries between this kind of two assets, I would like to say. Number three, to be more specific, this year we have been seeing more investment apps, especially the popularity of DeFi-based cryptocurrency in 2020. I think one of the main reasons is because of the pandemic. Next year, still a lot of uncertainties. Number one, we're not sure human beings will be easily solve this pandemic issue. Yes or no, I believe the cryptocurrency assets will keep growing, and there'll be more and more people trying to get more, simply get more new sources of passive income and wealth management through the digital assets, for sure. Especially, when it's blocked down, it's just perfect when you do more digital kind of assets, wealth generation and investments. So this is number three. Of course, we will see more and more still the faster development in the first frontier, that is the financial technology, which is by far one of the how to say, basically the frontier for the digital assets and fintech. We will see more and more interesting developments in this area. Thank you.
Thanks. And just dwelling a little bit on that, what are some sectors within that that you're particularly excited about? And could you talk to some recent experiences?
This year, for instance, as I said, I haven't been investing a lot, but I have been talking to and observing all this huge development. For instance, as I said, the DeFi-based cryptocurrency, especially in Chinese market, and also as this year I'm I'm staying more time in Australia. So I'm seeing a lot of my investment friends, as also some friends from the traditional VC and financial industries that have been spending more time doing this interesting DeFi-based cryptocurrency investments. And some good, some bad, but we have seen this influx of new retail investors and traders, which will greatly promoting the development for the investment apps in this regard. We probably see more interesting stuff again compared to the internet. I just feel this digital asset sector and the blockchain, whatever you call it, fintech, just developing much faster, even compared to the internet industry in a way. So I'm just try my best to watch and learn and try to get involved if I can. So basically that's it.
And just on that last point, but I think this is quite pertinent for the other panelists as well. As in your words, a more traditionally oriented venture capitalist, how would you feel about some of your investee projects launching STOs on perhaps some of the platforms that Matt and Karim runs? Would you be positive about that? And what are your thoughts?
I'm positive generally, but for STOs, I think there are some how to say systematic issues, because it's as I understand, it's kind of a new kind of a regime trying to connect the traditional listing authority and the new digital currency, which I found a lot of difficult issues need to be solved. And so far, it seems not so many things have been solved. Just as we talked, between you and me before, like as you said, you are not that bullish on the development of the digital banking in the market such as Australia, because both you and me believe that the new financial technology, fintech solutions will probably be more helpful in that regard. I mean, it's always difficult to try to seems to me it's always difficult to try to connect the old order and the new order. It's rather
usually the new order disrupting the old order, more like.
Yes, yeah. That's it. So basically, that's the similar thought I have with STO so far.
So on that, that's I think a really good segue to Matt, if I can come back to you on the new disrupting the old. And in that context, I think the fact that you guys have your preliminary approval for a securities trading license out of Hong Kong, can you talk to how significant that is, and especially in the context of the new world order disrupting the old?
Yeah, mate. It's look. So what? To give some context and some information for everybody listening, the way that the Securities and Futures Commission in Hong Kong has framed the regulatory environment for what it terms as virtual assets makes it the only major regulator globally to bring together within one regulatory envelope the regulation of both cryptocurrencies and security tokens. So the licensing that we have approval in principle for, and which we hope to to bottom out by year end and receive full approval, will allow the issuance and trading within the one platform under the same regs, both cryptocurrencies and STOs. And so I guess what does that do? For us, we see a the next real wave of uptick and innovation is the allocation of capital through security tokens. And so allocation of capital for a number of different assets, be they hard assets, more esoteric, be it carbon trading, be it equity. The way that security tokens and the cost of execution through a tokenized offering being so much lower than a traditional capital markets offering just opens up a completely new world of opportunities for number one, investors wishing to allocate capital into different types of assets that they potentially previously couldn't access. Number two is, companies, corporates, groups seeking to raise capital, again, now having a different and more cost-effective pool of capital that they can tap. And then probably, thirdly is the provision of secondary markets for this capital and for STOs. So it's we see that as one of the next big areas of growth, and certainly some of the on both sides, on both the investor side and on those seeking to raise capital, there's certainly the appetite that we see growing as hopefully as this market comes live, next year and begins to grow.
So basically, a more accessible and hopefully more democratic way to trade diverse securities and assets, not just those that are listed on big traditional exchanges.
Yep, mate. That's the and again, that's I suppose that's back to the crux of it, I guess, is the democratization of that investment capability, and that being made possible, by the blockchain.
Karim, I want to come to you, and then I think we might have to end with some final summary comments. But in the context of democratization and making investing into more diverse asset classes flexible, could you talk to some of the things that you see, and particularly what LinkTree is doing? For example, from what I know, the real-time SPV creations for diverse groups of investors?
Yes. So, going back to an earlier question on the chat group, it's like, do you have competitors? Yes, we do. I mean, Equity Zen, Shares Post Forge, Equity B. There are a host of companies out there that try to identify companies that people are willing to buy pre-IPO or pre-liquidity. It's challenging because what the process is, they have to, if you're a buyer, you have to go to these companies, identify your interest in particular companies' shares, commit the funds to it. We're quite large in some cases, between 100 and 250,000. The brokerage then needs to go to the company that they think they may get shares from and go through a ROFA period. And so none of this is guaranteed. I mean, you may get the shares allocation if you want, or an equity allocation. It may take you 3 to 6 months. The price may change in the process. You may get it, may not get it, and you've committed a bunch of cash to it. Whereas what we've done at LinkTree is we've already gone through the process. We've identified the shares, identified the equity, already purchased it, gone through the ROFA period. We've housed it. We actually own the equity. And then we break it up and into an SPV that's online. And you can, if you go to LinkTree right now and want to buy something, if we have it, your transaction is 2 minutes. So whatever we have, you have. Of course, it's 2 minutes if we've already accredited you. If you have not accredited, then you have to go through the accreditation process, which we're doing and automating. So that's how we're different. And a lot of companies will take time to get there, and then we continue to power through that. I hope I answered your question, Victor. Is that?
Yeah, that's actually very good. Thank you. And I'm conscious I've been reminded that we're pretty much coming up to time. So if I can ask from each of the three of you, one last comment or advice, if you can share with the audience for investors and for entrepreneurs looking to take advantage of digital assets and decentralized finance from now and into 2021, what would be the one tip or advice that you could share? Kurt, do you want to start? Oh, wait. You need to unmute.
Yeah, sorry, what's the question again?
The question is, what would be the one tip or advice that you could share with investors and entrepreneurs in the audience wanting to take advantage of digital assets in 2021?
Which this is again, I found this is a fascinating question, but a difficult question.
Getting involved?
Sorry?
Just getting involved, maybe open an account or two?
Yeah, why not? I believe, as I said, there were more online investments into this sector for sure. Also because of the mainstream coins such as Bitcoin, etc. is also very, very strong at the moment, and a lot of bullish thoughts regarding that. So also with the a lot of the uncertainties for many reasons, even for pandemic, for political, even for trade war purposes reasons, right? So it's a fair at least to do certain distribution in digital assets. Even though I found digital assets still are more focusing on digital assets rather than, as I said, it still probably take more time to bridge the traditional underlying assets. So yes, but why not? Yes.
So have a punt, basically. Matt, just very briefly, one tip or advice you could share?
Look, I think if allocating capital in a, I guess in a VC or angel sense, I think the one thing that stands out to me is being having a very good line of sight around the regulatory framework in which the company, the target company, is operating, because I think regulation is just going to accelerate across the digital asset complex. So I think just having pretty good line of sight around on the current and future framework under which the company's operating.
Basically, make sure they whatever you're investing in or through are as regulated as can be, as makes sense.
Yeah, I mean if it doesn't take much of a Google round to see some of the enforcement actions over the last couple of months. It's it's a pretty clear which way the elevator is traveling here.
Yeah, thank you. And Corinne, just last comments.
So 2 things. One is you all need to join us at the Global Investor Conference, which is December 8th and 9th. Type in the Global Investor Conference. Join.
Fantastic.
We have a bunch of speakers on the 8th and 9th. We're touching this topic. We're touching crypto. We're touching digital assets management. There are companies, great companies that will be speaking there. Victor is going to help me co-host the Asia side on the 9th. Victor, I'll put you on the spot. In terms of...
Well, I will enjoy that. Thank you.
Yes, no, thank you. In terms of what you need to do as an investor, go buy some Bitcoin, go buy some Ripple, go buy some Ethereum. Buy these things. If you've got $10,000 to invest, only spend 1,000, because then you start to learn the market. I mean, I bought a bunch of, what did I buy today? I bought a bunch of XRP. As soon as I bought it, it went down 8%,
You missed the market.
But I'll buy some more tomorrow. No, it's important.
That's a great mentality, actually.
Yeah, but look, understand what you're doing, right? I mean, these coins, these tokens, these utility tokens, these currency tokens. There is securitized real estate. I mean, you need to understand what you want, what you're interested in, what you're doing. But put your toe in the water. Don't jump head first, but step in and learn.
Thank you very much. And with that, I think we're coming up to a wrap for this very, very esteemed panel. So thank you very much for all of your time. And if I can just make one final comment on this, I know that LinkTree is putting together a fantastic global digital assets special interest group forum and mailing list. And I would encourage you all to please join that. It's easily searchable online, and we're certainly all part of it, and we'll look forward to continue the dialogue and hopefully some business opportunities. So thank you very, very much once again, and
thanks, Victor.
to Jay.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining.